Gold FM is #1 here in Sigatoka.
Gold FM is our favorite radio station here in Lautoka.
Gold FM is #1 in Nel.
I love listening to Gold FM in Ba.
We love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits here in Suva.
Hear about Batu Cola, you immediately think of gold. I'm Josephine Sadi and I love hearing Gold FM.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
In this bulletin, public prosecutor says no politics involved in Mahendra Chaudhary's trial. Fiji and New Zealand repair trade links. And Fijian soldiers evacuated from Iraq. Good evening and welcome to FBC News. I'm Amrita Priyadarshini. But first up, the Republic of the Fiji Military Forces says it has no confusions about its role under the 2013 Constitution. Military Commander Brigadier General Mosese Tikoitonga says his comments recently have been taken out of context.
Brigadier General Mosese Tikoitonga told FBC News it must be clear the RFMF is here to protect and defend the 2013 Constitution.
Any changes to the Constitution should follow the processes of the Constitution. When I said we will not allow any political party to change the Constitution, what I meant was the Constitution can be amended, but it has to be amended according to the parts of it, to the Constitution itself, the processes of the Constitution.
The roles of the RFMF under the Constitution is explained as such. It shall be the overall responsibility of the Republic of the Fiji Military Forces to ensure at all times the security, defense and well-being of Fiji and all Fijians. The military commander stresses as long as people don't break the law as stipulated in the Constitution, there will be no issues with changing the Constitution.
When political parties said they will throw away the Constitution and bring in a new Constitution or rewrite the Constitution, as some parties are saying, I hope that it can be understood. The RFMF will not allow the total rewriting of a Constitution without the processes of the Constitution being followed.
The military has come under fire from political parties claiming it's undermining the elections process in making such statements.
The RFMF, as always, it will defend the Constitution and ensure the security of all Fijians. And that's what we will do. We will defend the Constitution as it is written.
Brigadier General Mosese Tikoitonga says the RFMF stands by its earlier commitment to support any government that comes into power. Apisolo Medoka, FBC News.
68 Fijian soldiers serving in the United Nations Assistance Mission to Iraq have been relocated to another camp in light of the growing violence in Iraq. Military Commander Brigadier General Mosese Tikoitonga says some soldiers have been moved from the danger zone. Tikoitonga has also confirmed that they have closed 2 camps, but 40 Fijian soldiers have been tasked with providing security at the airport in Iraqi capital Baghdad.
Situation, we've moved 68 of our personnel from Baghdad up to Erbil, which is in the northern part of Iraq that's looked after by the Kurds, and the area is very peaceful. It's also a UN base. We used to occupy, we used to guard before, but we pulled out of that area because of its peaceful environment and moved everybody down to Baghdad.
The Fiji military is closely monitoring the situation in Iraq, where militants have captured numerous towns north of Baghdad. Fiji Airways has blamed poor organizational factors behind the hard landing incident at Sydney Airport on March 18th. The airline has also reinstated the pilot who was in command of the flight, but he is no longer flying. Christopher Chand reports.
3 months after the incident, the national airline has revealed its findings of the investigations.
A lot of the findings were not due to pilot error or whatever, but due to organizational factors. We have addressed them. Of course, the pilot who was there, the pilot in command, is no longer flying. He's still with us, but he's doing a ground job.
The aircraft made a hard landing at Sydney Airport. If it had been any worse, the results could have been catastrophic.
We went through all the processes in order to make sure that an incident like this will not repeat itself.
Major changes have since taken place at the airline, with the appointments of a new Executive General Manager Operations and a new Training Manager.
When we had the results of the investigation, our decisions were to remove him from flying, but I think we target on the wrong part of the story, because the pilot is not the part of the story. The part of the story is some organizational structural improvements we needed to make in order to make sure that all the pilots have the right training, etc., etc.
The flight attendant that was injured during the incident has still not returned to work. Fiji Airways was left with a huge bill when the aircraft was grounded for a month for repairs. Christopher Chand, FBC News.
Director of Public Prosecutions Christopher Pride has spoken out about the decision to prosecute Fiji Labour Party leader Mahendra Chaudhry and former military officer Peter Ndriti. Speaking at a business conference in Suva, Pride denied any political motivation behind the two cases. Edwin Nand reports.
It's not common for the Public Prosecutions Office to explain the reasons behind charging someone, but Christopher Pride says he feels the need to respond to claims against his office.
The decision to prosecute was not a political decision, nor did politics influence the decision. There was no consultation with anyone outside the office of the DPP, and importantly and significantly, no consideration was made at any time to the political consequences of a prosecution.
He says the files of Mahendra Chaudhry and Peter Ndriti were treated like any other that come across his table. The two have already been convicted and sentenced for their respective cases, and Pride says public comments about why the DPP's office pursued these trials are unfounded.
The issue of the independence of the judiciary has been raised by the New Zealand government through their latest travel advisory, which states that the Fijian government has a degree of influence over the judiciary. This is simply untrue.
Pride was speaking at the Fiji-New Zealand Business Council, telling those present there were attempts to interfere with the judiciary, but not by the Fijian government.
What we have not had, however, is any allegation of compromise or judicial impropriety being supported by a single shred of evidence. We have even had one European country based in Suva attempting to directly interfere with the prosecutorial decision-making process. Any interference with the independence of the criminal justice system or the operation of its functions from whatever source will always be resisted.
The Director of Public Prosecutions also pointed out that over the last 7 years, sanctions by New Zealand and Australia haven't helped the judiciary in any way. Edwin Nand, FBC News.
Coming up after the break, athlete Roy Ravana Jr. laid to rest.
Talita na Radio Fiji One na mwirani nonda kunua.
Ando talita kana borrongo na Radio Fiji One singa toka mboleta ni station ni Alumatua.
Ando talita kabale una borrongo na Radio Fiji One station ni Alumatua ilo toka.
Ando talita kabale una borrongo na Radio Fiji One mandi na station ni Alumatua.
Au tulingol korbo ando borrongo leva na station ni Alumatua na Radio Fiji One.
Ando borrongo na Radio Fiji One na station ni Alumatua na bandoi tele.
Welcome back. This is FBC News. Re-engaging and boosting trade between Fiji and New Zealand was one of the core discussions at the Fiji-New Zealand Business Council annual meet in Suva today. Investment and trade between the two countries have dropped significantly in the last few years, but moving forward, the two nations have vowed to reignite trade and investment. Chanel Sivan reports.
Fiji is New Zealand's largest export destination in the region, but since 2007, New Zealand's stand towards Fiji has impacted trade. Bilateral trade has only marginally increased by 10%. At the Fiji-New Zealand Business Conference, Permanent Secretary for Trade Shaheen Ali reminded New Zealand of the progress Fiji is making, which other countries are taking advantage of.
We don't want New Zealand investors and businesses to miss out on what we consider the best trade and investment climate Fiji has ever seen. The Bainimarama government has gone to great lengths to create a stable and conducive environment that encourages growth and development.
Where New Zealand's stake in Fiji has been minimal, China and Australia investments have significantly increased. New Zealand acting head of mission in Fiji, Mark Ramsden, promises they will strengthen investment and trade in the coming days.
While Fiji's exports to New Zealand are commensurably less, around 60 million in the year to June 2013, Fiji's exports to New Zealand of Darlo, biscuits from FMF, apparel and other fresh produce are actually pretty significant. We want to see this trade expand, and you will have heard, I'm sure, my Minister, Minister McCulley, talk about this theme over and over again, about the need to boost two-way trade between New Zealand and the Pacific.
Chinese investment in Fiji has increased by 300%. Some of the trade schemes in Fiji include a 20 years tax-free incentive if setting up dairy business in tax-free areas.
Unfortunately, the New Zealand investors are missing out on this investment boom. Over the past 4 years, New Zealand investment has decreased to almost negligible levels, and the number of investors have more than halved. Now, I think we can all agree that we need to reverse this trend. In terms of trade, New Zealand remains an important partner, accounting for 10% of Fiji's total trade.
We have already started re-engaging at the government level in some quite deep ways. One thing I'm particularly keen on is the links we are building around the New Zealand Recognised Seasonal Employer Scheme, which is hugely important for New Zealand and has become hugely important for the Pacific as well. We are seeing some quite positive steps taken to bring Fiji into that scheme.
Despite the political issues, New Zealand remains an important trading partner, proving $400 million worth of imports.
We've been the most vocal advocate for free flow of goods, services and labour in the Pacific region, and our leadership in this area is well recognized, and we have called for an economic union in the Pacific.
The theme of this year's meet is re-engaging through trade. Chanel Shivan, FBC News.
Fiji athlete Roy Ravana Jr. has been laid to rest after a service at the Marist Brothers High School's Lambert Hall in Flagstaff, Suva. Ravana had been studying in the US for 2 years and expected to take up a track and field scholarship when he fell victim to a shooting incident. Ravana was cleaning the garden and ran to help his friend who had been shot. This is when he was shot as well. In his eulogy, Roy's grand-uncle Kaliopate Tavola says his last moments will never be forgotten.
In this last episode in his life, he had witnessed a crime against his friend and wanted to bring the perpetrators to justice. He wanted to right the wrong. He assumed personal responsibility in trying to bring justice.
The incident occurred 2 weeks ago in Sacramento, California, America. Fiji Higher Education Commission is embarking on a massive awareness campaign to deepen understanding of its efforts to help everyone attain high-level education and secure jobs. Mika Longo reports.
The Commission has been established in February 2010. The Fiji Higher Education Commission, FHEC, was tasked by the government to be the regulatory body and watchdog for the higher education institutions in the country.
This is important for our people because in the past there's been too many different types of institutions offering various quality of programs, and because of that our people have been doing programs, spending lots of money, doing programs that are not taking them anywhere.
4 years on, the FHEC feels majority of Fiji's population is unaware of its existence, let alone the key role it plays in the country's education sector.
They know about the Ministry of Education and what it does in terms of primary, secondary and preschool, but in terms of what's happening in the higher education sector, they're not aware of that.
A major function of the Commission is to see higher education is relevant to the needs of the country and at the same time making sure that people are properly educated.
Over these many years, our economy has been struggling because of the mismatch
So government has established a commission 4 years ago to ensure that this supply system from the institutions match some or other to the industries.
When we go out, we really know that people do not know about us, and it's high time that they know about us and what we offer for them.
The Fiji Higher Education Commission has somewhat kick-started its awareness program by visiting the highlands of Namosi yesterday. It's also been talking with the mining industry to introduce mining studies in vocational institutions.
Landowners in the vicinity of our mining concerns can get training, appropriate training, and therefore can be employed as per usually the agreements.
The FHEC has planned awareness activities for the whole year with in-depth details and roadmaps that will assist parents and students make the right choices on appropriate higher education. Mikalonga, FBC News.
More and more cultural youth groups are being formed around the country. And according to the Ministry of Youth, these groups are an avenue for young people to showcase their talents, preserve their culture and tradition, and for some, earn money. Eleanor Turangaivu reports.
The 2014 Youth and Sports Conference, which was held in Suva in the last 3 days, saw the participation of various cultural youth groups. Many young people form and join these groups to make something out of themselves.
Many of them would not be successful in the academic field, but they can do well here in terms of the cultural performance, and we have seen that. And we have seen that many of our youths are doing well in these areas these days.
Some are using the opportunity to rake in a few cash, with issues like unemployment and school dropout affecting most young people today.
It's really a good area for them, especially when they don't have a good academic background. It's the other way where we can explore the potential that they have. They come in, somebody in the community help them to perform those cultural performances, those make-up performance, and they're able to rake in something for them.
Shivagni Rao is part of the Lambasa Youth Council dance group. She says the performances are about sharing their knowledge and preserving culture.
It showed that how South Indians entertain, how South Indians are entertainers, and then how they perform and how they dress. It was all about their culture.
Shivalni Devi uses her talent to relate to youths the effects of peer pressure.
We will like to educating the people that how people they are going to in a peer pressure, and how they are dragging where they end up.
Some local cultural dance groups are now making a name for themselves, not only in Fiji but also in the Pacific region. Eleanor Turangaivu, FBC News.
An ambitious agro-tourism project was launched by the Attorney General Ayaz Sayed Qayyum at Wailoko in Nadi this morning. The Matangali Nambilia of Natalao village wants to develop a resort, twin tower apartments and a sporting stadium near the Sleeping Giant. The occasion marked Aviva Nawai Investments Fiji Limited's 99-year tourism lease approval from the TLTB. The people behind the project are now looking for an investor.
The landowners in this area are now going beyond the boundaries which they were confined to. And I can tell you that this type of venture complements immensely towards the tourism industry in Fiji.
Coming up, Flying Fijians make easy of Cook Islands, booking World Cup spot. And Nandi upsets Bar Fiji Fact playoffs.
Gold FM is #1 here in Sigatoka.
Gold FM is our favorite radio station here in Lautoka.
Gold FM is #1 in Nel.
I love listening to Gold FM in Ba.
We love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits here in Suva.
Hear about bottled cola, you immediately think of gold. I'm Josephine Sabi and I love hearing Gold FM.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Welcome to FBC Sports. It rained tries at Churchill Park this afternoon as the Vodafone Flying Fijians hammered Cook Islands by 108-6. The hosts scored 17 tries altogether, with Nemani Nandolo and Andrew Ndelai grabbing a hat-trick each. Metuisela Talembula and Nicola Matawalu scored a double to the delight of the home fans. The win seals Fiji's spot in the 2015 Rugby World Cup alongside Australia, England, Wales and a playoff winner. And now the football side is on track to defend its Vodafone Fiji FAC title after defeating Bar 2-0 in the semi-final at Ratuda Kambau Park. Ame Vutunia had it in the opening goal in the first half before Eliki Ravusai sealed the deal for the Jet Setters with another goal in the second.
For the stop and save Nandi side. Curls it long and the header through. Following through Eliki Ravusai. Ame Vutunui it is that followed through as the Bar defence were watching minute of play. The Bar defence again. What we were saying earlier as we look at it is Ame Vutunui in the 44th minute of play has opened the account. The next match coming up, as I said, in comes the kick, the header through by Eliki Ravusai, and again the Bar defence as he just nodded it in, and in the fourth minute of play, Bar defence were watching as we look at it again. He just nodded it, no one from the Bar defenders came to him, and Eliki Ravusai has punished the Bar defence just like earlier.
The second semi-final between Suva and Lambasa is currently underway, with the final to be held tomorrow at 4 p.m. Flames are the new women's champions of the Bula FM Maris Volleyball Tournament after defeating Unix 3-1 in the final. National spiker Claire Ndelai and Katarina Dhakaunitambua led the way for the Flames, firstly in the semi-finals, where they defeated Maris Saints, and then again in the final. The team collected $3,000 prize money for their efforts at the two-day tournament. And the men's final between Rebels and Marist is currently underway. The FIFA World Cup is an event that captures the attention of fans the world over, from community, at home and even in the workplace. Local-based Australian call centre Pack Leader Pacific decided to celebrate the world event in their own special way. Chalindo Dhaka has more.
Painted faces, outrageous costumes and colourful decorations. This was the scene at the Pack Leader Pacific office in Lodhala Beach as employees decked out in the colours of teams that are participating at the FIFA World Cup.
This initiative is basically an initiative by our general manager just to hype up the floor and just to create a healthy competition between our agents. As you can see, there's a lot of really creative minds here in Pack Leader, and we have close to 300 or more than 300 staff here, so it's been an exciting year for us.
The event has uplifted the morale of the staff as they cheer on their various teams during the tournament, win or lose.
We've got a really high morale right now. People are just bringing out their creativity and their talents to come up and decorate their bays, their workstation, have a mascot, paint their pictures, and basically bringing Brazil over to Fiji. And we've been having a really good turnout in terms of the celebration.
This initiative has proven the wide spectrum of support that the World Cup enjoys from around the world and can serve a positive effect, even in the workplace. Salendo Dhaka, FBC Sports.
Meanwhile, in tomorrow's games, host Brazil will take on Chile at 4 a.m, while Colombia takes on Uruguay at 8 a.m. in the first matches of the last 16. You can watch these games live on FBC TV. Fine weather prevailed over most parts of the country today. A weak frontal system lies just west of Fiji. Meanwhile, an active trough of low pressure affects the Solomon Islands. Lambasa was a high of 31 degrees this afternoon. Other centres were at 30 or in the high 20s. No readings from Lautoka. Tomorrow's forecast is for more fine conditions all over Fiji. A bit of cloud cover over Suva and Savu towards the afternoon. As for Monday, fine apart from brief showers over the eastern parts and interior of the larger islands. It will be cool at night. The main points. Director Public Prosecutions Christopher Pride says there was no political influence in Mahendra Chaudhry's case. Fijian soldiers evacuated from areas of unrest in Iraq. And athlete Roy Ravana Jr. has been laid to rest in Suva. On to our poll question now. This week we ask, are we doing enough to address human trafficking? Visit our FBC website to take part. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via our Facebook page FBC News. Or if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC News or simply hashtag FBC News. That's it from the team and I. We'll be back again tomorrow. Good evening.
Mirchi FM is number 1 in Singapore.
I love Mirchi FM. It's so hot. Deke me lala, kai me high. Tangi tau for me. Mirchi FM is hot.
Here at Rugby Town, Singapore, love listening to Mirchi FM. Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Mirchi FM is number 1 in Suva. It's hot. Mirchi FM, bon julum julum.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.